how to take your heart's business leap. If you're following a calling, if you're following an internal guidance, trust me, I know it can be scary. It is a scary journey. And why is that? Your heart will always guide you to what's unknown. Your heart will always guide you to what is outside your comfort zone and what's known, and that's part of the journey. So sometimes when people have a calling, they have an internal guidance to build something that creates something that's scary, you can often find yourself in a pattern of trying to make it less scary, trying to figure something out, trying to make it more comfortable, and trying to find out a more safe way to take the leap. That's not really how it works. That's not how life works. And that's not how your heart and your soul expands. And that's why we have Molly Adkins here. One thing I find inspiring is someone who follows their heart, follows their guidance, that goes against logic, that goes against their mind's rationale. Molly not only ended a career in teaching, but sold all of her stuff. She sold her house, moved interstate, and had no clue why. All she felt was it was exciting, it was expansive, and had no clue what the rationale or the logic was behind it. And in this interview, that's what you're going to find out, is exactly what happened next, exactly how she had to take these leaps. And as you listen, you're going to unveil some leaps, some guidance of your own, and start to ask yourself, what sort of leaps can I take? What sort of actions can I take that's towards my heart, towards my soul, towards my spirit? She's also going to dive into how sound healing helped her along the journey in doing all of this, and how it's really been impactful for her entrepreneurial journey. So what you're going to learn here is, one, how to overcome that fear of taking a leap outside your comfort zone and following your soul's calling. Two, how to let go of the attachments, let go of what your mind is attached to in the form of your identity or in the form of your safety. And three, how sound healing can be used in your journey when it comes to being successful as a spiritual entrepreneur. So yes, it's here and in the Serving Circle, where you help elevate consciousness through spiritual business success. So if you're a spiritual entrepreneur, be sure to subscribe, support the content, and I'll see you in the Serving Circle on Facebook, where you can start collaborating with your soul tribe. Let's dive in. Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Awaken Your Business podcast. If you're part of the Serving Circle, you know this face. It's Molly Adkins, and I think one of the things I look for as inspiration is not necessarily these days what people are teaching, but what they're doing. And so anyone who knows Molly's story and what she's been up to in the last 6 to 12 months has been inspired. And as she shared her story, it's really touched the hearts of many people, because it's not very easy to get a calling, to get some guidance that goes against your mind, that goes against your rational thinking, and to do it anyway. So Molly, I'd love to ask you about your story, but basically there's a lot of letting go, a lot of deep levels of trust, selling your stuff, moving interstate, finding out all the challenges along the way. And while people are asking, what the hell are you doing this for? You're like, I don't know. I'm just following my heart, and this is what's guiding me to, so I'm taking the leap. And so anyone who's looking to take more leaps, be more courageous, and live a life where you're just trusting a bit more, then this is definitely going to be an inspiring chat. And especially we're going to dive into your interests as well around sound healing, around what it can do for you. So I know a lot of people are interested in sound healing, but we're going to go more in depth of how it works and how you can, attune it specifically for people. But Molly, first of all, welcome. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me here.
Awesome. My pleasure. So I'd love to dive into a bit about who you are and your story. And if you want to describe what's happened in the last 12 months or so in terms of taking your leaps, being courageous, following your heart and trusting the universe. What's that been like? So I'll kick it over to you. Go for it.
Awesome. So, yeah, it's been just about 12 months ago when I had decided to take a year leave from my long career in teaching high school. And I made this decision. I was all set to go, and I found another position a job that I could work in for a year, that I could also do my sound healing and yoga and different things alongside that. And all of a sudden, I found out that the person that I was going to be working for changed their mind, and I was left without a job and really kind of not knowing what to do and where to go at that point. So, in the middle of this last summer, around June, I made lots of decisions that I kind of feel are like pretty crazy now. I was crazy then. It was really tough decisions. I knew that I wasn't going to be able to stay in my house without a job. I didn't want to go back into another 5 to 9 or a 9 to 5 job, or something that wasn't really part of my heart's calling. So I wanted to just focus on sound healing and where that could take me. So I decided to sell my house, and I had this calling to move to the mountains. And so I actually went to both sides of the United States, which mountains I wanted to head to, and ended up coming to Colorado, the Rocky Mountains. And so I made that decision. I'm going to move to Colorado, and went online, found a place to live, and here I am. It's been kind of a crazy ride.
Definitely. And I guess some questions come up around, because we always talk about when life is guiding you in a certain direction, and life is always guiding you to learn more about yourself and to heal and evolve and grow and learn the lessons your soul's here to learn. And so most people are finding, especially in the world of COVID, that if they're in a job that they don't necessarily find fulfilling, it's now in their expansion to take a leap, and rather than following safety, follow something that's in their expansion, which is also scary, right? Because our heart never guides us towards the things that are safe and that are known. Heart always guides you to what's unknown and what's scary, because that's where you really are able to evolve and grow. And so some people have their job like you found. It's sort of like, some decisions were made and all of a sudden I have to leave, or all of a sudden I'm not able to go back. And they're forced to sort of go into a path of uncertainty, but one of exponential growth within themselves. So looking back, what can you see in terms of the lessons that you had to learn as your career that was no longer fulfilling, but it was safe, and it started falling apart, and you had to, you couldn't stay in your house, and some things had to be done. What are some of the lessons in there that you had to learn and had to go through?
Yeah, I think number one is just trusting that it's all going to work out. Definitely did a lot of deep inner work, meditating every day for an hour, and really searching within, trying to listen to what the universe had to say to me, and where just trying to figure out for myself what is in my heart's expansion, and not letting my ego to influence those, and my logical brain saying, selling, you're going to sell this beautiful house, because so many people kept saying to me, even my realtor was like, why would you sell this house? She's like, you'll never find another place like this. This is beautiful. I mean, it's got everything. It's got the fenced in yard, and, all these things that, even the realtor was telling me, don't sell my house. I just, it's kind of crazy, right? So it was against complete logic to sell, and not only just the house, but I sold everything in it. And that I think that, so just trusting that process. The other thing is that letting go, just learning to let go. So, now I'm joking about selling all that stuff and getting rid of it all, but there was amazing healing through that process of letting go of the stuff and the material items. And not only, some of the things were precious to me, or maybe precious to my mom who has passed, that I knew they were precious to her, but and therefore I felt I had to keep them. But just learning or understanding that by letting go of those things, I was healing within me, healing myself, and hopefully generations to come, by having those attachments, and just learning that those things aren't needed. Things are not needed, and we're just all just what we are inside is who we are, and our identity is from within and not from the stuff that we have.
Yeah, I remember we got on many calls as you were selling all your possessions, and you were sort of giving things away, and and we obviously sit in silence a lot. We do a lot of inner work, and anyone listening to this knows what it's like to sit in silence and hold space for all the emotions, and being able to purge what's ready to be seen, and all these uncomfortable things that come up in this experience. But when physical stuff is very similar. It's to be able to have physical possessions that you're attached to. It's similar. It's very, very similar to, beliefs and emotional patterns, because it's where our energy is going, and it's the things that are, things that are keeping us in our routine and keeping us safe. And that's what you sort of found when you're selling all your stuff. You're like, oh my God, I just have this pattern that says, oh, my mum had this, and this was important to me in my past, and all these different things that, brought up emotions for you. So releasing them, whether it's giving them away or selling them, offered a big release for you. So something to be mindful of if people do have physical objects and things that they feel it might be in their expansion to release, then this is some, just some sound advice. But one thing what you're talking about with trust, when it comes to trusting, I find when it's the decisions you make, if you have an insight that says, oh, the universe has my back, universe is trusting me, then one of the things that matters most is the decisions you make from that place. So some people might say, oh my God, okay, I'm going to trust the universe. I'm going to trust this infinite intelligence. I'm going to trust my heart, trust my soul, and my guidance that says there's something out there for you that's beyond this safe, job. But then they go back to their boss and they're pleading them to get the job back, or their decisions aren't in alignment with what the guidance they've got. Clearly with you consistently take the leap, say, okay, I've got this guidance, I've got this trust, let me make my decisions from that place, despite how scary it is, and let's purge everything that comes up along the way. Is that the way you would describe it, or was there some challenges there that you can sort of highlight that were a bit difficult?
Oh, definitely. I mean, definitely the difficulty in trusting, and that is what I feel like I should be doing, but then my mind is saying, just go back to that job, or people are telling me, go back to your job, just go back, ask for your job back. What's so hard about that? And I'm like, but I knew in my body that was not the path that I needed to be on, or should be on, or was being shown, I guess. And interestingly, now that I'm looking back at the things that happened along the way about finding a place to live here in Colorado, and it's been very interesting. And like, I'd have a block, like the first apartment I found, I was like, oh, this is perfect. Everything about it is perfect. It's exactly what I wanted. But then the timing of that apartment opening up and my house being sold wasn't lining up. So I had to let it go. And then right after I let that go, my house sold, and I was like, okay, now I don't have a place to live. So it was like those kind of things. Like, I really wanted to hold on to that apartment, but then as soon as I let it go, it allowed even my house to sell, which was interesting. It put me in a spot where I had to start looking again. And the things, but once I started looking, it was like easy to find a place. It was kind of like paths open, like something will be blocked and I'll be like, oh no, what am I going to do now? And then something else opens up without, that feels a lot easier and feels like more exciting, more aligned in what I would been wanting in the long run, right? So
Yeah,
yeah,
this goes
that's
it goes beyond like, if people are listening, it goes beyond needing to sell your stuff, sell your house and move. This sort of this sort of structure and the characteristics of this decision can be found in any decision you're looking to make, right? Whether it be with your health, whether it be to do with relationships, finances, whatever it is. It seems like what happened was you had this calling, you had this pull, this expansion to sell your stuff and move. And through that time, you were like, hey, Tice, and sending me a message, hey, Tice, still don't have anyone that's wanting to buy the place. Still don't have anyone's putting in any offers. And and you're like, okay, I think I found a place where I'm going to move. Oh, no, that fell through. Don't know where I'm going to move next. I could be homeless in, next week. And everything that comes up along the way. So looking back, what are your thoughts there? Is there anything in particular that you're most proud of, or that you can, strengths and skills that you can take moving forward now in making decisions from all of that experience?
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think being able to tune into my own intuition, my own understanding of trust, own understanding of spirit or the universe, and being able to make decisions from that understanding, and just you know, and being able to make that distinction between, oh, this is my ego saying I need a job, or I need a full-time job, I need to know that I'm going to have income next week, or I need to know where I'm going to be living next week, and just having that trust, and being able to feel it in my body that it's going to work out. It's just, I know yeah, the universe has my back, definitely.
And I find most patterns, people can look inside themselves and say, okay, where is my fear really coming from? Whether it's fear of finances, or you're not getting yourself out there in marketing, or you're not putting out an offer because you don't want to be rejected and be judged, and these things on the entrepreneurial journey, I find the vast majority of the time, it comes down to the core belief that the universe does not have my back. So therefore, I need to, me and my human effort and my ego needs to put in the effort and clean up the mess that the universe isn't taking care of. Right. So therefore, that's a lot of stress and a lot of worry, a lot of fear for someone who says, hey, I'm not going to be okay, and I'm not going to be able, life isn't going to give me what's in my expansion if I don't take control right now. And therefore, it puts everything on the decisions that you make, but it's a completely different energy and a completely different relationship with life when you move from this place, when you move from the place of, look, I know I'm either going to learn the lessons that I know I need to learn, or welcome in such higher level opportunities that my mind can't see right now. That's what you welcome in when you follow this expansion, you follow the energy of unknown, and just to see what happens next, and you welcome everything along the way. And so what have you noticed in yourself? Have you noticed certain shifts in your emotions, or relationships with your emotions, or relationship with life, as you follow this energy, rather than just staying in a job because it's safe, it has a paycheck, and it feels comfortable?
Well, there's no doubt that I am probably the happiest that I've ever been in my life right now, though it is the scariest point in my life, perhaps, because I don't know what's coming next. I don't know, I really just don't know what's going to happen over the next few months, and my income, or, I now have a place to live, but just those unknowns. But I'm very content, I'm very happy. And before, when I was in my teaching position, I was miserable. Just looking back, I kept telling myself I was happy. It's like, oh, look, I've got this money, and I know I'm going to have my retirement's going to be all set. And so my friend calls it the golden handcuffs. You get tied to it. You get tied to the money, and you work from that pattern of needing to know where your income's coming from, how you're going to live in retirement, or what, just constantly moving and thinking in that direction. But making these decisions to kind of go against what society makes us feel that we need to have to be safe has been very eye-opening, and just a whole different feeling, this just true contentment, just happy to be here. Yeah.
Now, I can see where your passion comes from, because obviously what's emerging is this need to contribute to those who are in a similar position. If they're in a 9 to 5 and they're intellectually can describe themselves as happy, like what you're saying. When you're in the job, you could intellectually tell yourself, hey, I've got this money for retirement, I've got steady paycheck, I know what's going to happen tomorrow, I'm safe, I'm comfortable, I'm in my patterns, I'm following what's familiar. So you can intellectually tell yourself that you're happy, and you can intellectually explain why you're happy and why you should be happy, but yet your heart guides you somewhere else. And this is the duality, the debate between, okay, your head and your heart. If you have a steady paycheck and you're in what's familiar, and you can consciously can feel happy, but deep down, there's something more. Deep down, it's becoming less and less fulfilling. There's less and less meaning in it. And there's a drive to contribute. There's a drive to grow at deeper levels and contribute at deeper levels. And yet that calling is there. And so that's the decision people need to make. Am I willing to value growth and contribution above safety, right? Safety and comfort. And that's sort of what you've done. And many people listening to this, as it's sort of like, especially here in the Western world, this is the primary pattern of just this debate between the head and the heart. And so it raises a lot of awareness when someone says, well, when someone hears you, Molly, and hears, oh, when I left and when I go through all of this stuff and all of this uncertainty, and I get to purge these emotional patterns that I had to money or safety or physical possessions or a physical home, all of a sudden I'm now more happy. But it's not just an intellectual happy. It's like, now my heart's happy. Now my soul's happy. Now it's a fulfillment and a meaning and a deep purpose, and I'm growing and contributing at deeper levels. That's a deeper level of just happiness. That is like true joy. That's true bliss. That's fulfillment, not just happiness. So is there anything you can speak of there in terms of what guidance would you give someone, or tips you can give someone who's in that debate of, should they, if they're in a situation where they're intellectually following their heart, following their head, following their safety, and they're quote unquote happy, but they still have this calling, what advice would you give to someone there? What sort of tips could you have?
I think a few things come to mind, actually. I think I worked a lot from the fear of being judged, of what are people going to think about me? Well, if I do this, or if I take this big leap, people are going to make fun of me or think I'm crazy, or that type of thing. So that was a big thing, and just letting go of that fear of being judged on, it doesn't matter if I have a big house anymore, or, living in a little apartment. But I think the other thing is doing I've done a lot of healing, and not only from the purging, but also through my practice in sound healing, a lot of energetic healing, clearing a lot of stuck energy that I've, from the traumas of life, basically. So I think really being able to tune in to those patterns that somebody has, and learning how to clear the energy and to open the heart, and feel that, be able to feel your expansion, to be able to make those big leaps.
Awesome. Yeah, there are plenty modalities, methods out there that help people really tune in to their heart, start to purge, find what's in their expansion. You use a lot of sound healing. So I want to talk about this because to me it's fascinating, and it's an interesting topic that many people are aware of, but they don't necessarily know the mechanics, or they don't necessarily know, the reasons behind it.
Right.
So in terms of sound healing, why is it a calling for you? What got you into sound healing? What were sort of the things you noticed as you started using this method for your own healing?
Right. So I got into sound healing actually through a yoga class that I took a few years ago. And I did not understand at the time what was going on. I did not understand energy healing, or I hadn't even seen a crystal singing bowl in the past before that day. And so I'm in my yoga class, and then in Shavasana at the end, the final resting pose, teacher's playing these huge crystal singing bowls. And I'm just like, this is, I can't even explain that feeling of just, I don't know, I had tears, and just going deep is all I can, how I can explain it. But that feeling of just being, I guess, and having those sounds surround me. And I, at that point, I knew there was something about that at that point, and something was lit up within me. I was like, I have to learn more about this. And so that's where that was the turning point, and started studying sound healing. And I also became a yoga instructor, and I did Reiki. I'm a Reiki master practitioner as well. And over the last few years in my study with sound healing, I've noticed how, even through my own study, that as I'm studying and as I'm learning about the instruments and I'm playing with the instruments, and that I've been continually healing myself with the sounds, because our bodies memorize everything that we've experienced. So, and it's all in our subconscious, everything that's happened to us. And if we've experienced any kind of trauma, no matter how small or how large, our body still remembers that. And it's like, like a piano. Our bodies are like a piano. If you tune up your piano, and then after you play on that piano, you're hitting the keys for 6 months or so, and you're like, it kind of sounds out of tune. And you go and you get it tuned up again, right? And then you're playing it again. So it's that continual idea as well for our bodies as we go through life, and we have big or little traumas or things that happen, and it might jar our energy a little bit. And so when we get those stuck energies, then we are, things happen. I mean, it can be physical ailments where, feel like you're on the computer too much, your shoulders hurt, or your lower back all of a sudden starts to hurt. That's all energetics. And then, or even, the inability to make decisions, or to move forward, or to, things that happened in the past, and that, trying to clear that energy with the sound healing, just an amazing thing. And it's been really interesting that how to use the bowls, especially Tibetan singing bowls, is what I use in my sound assessments on people if they're come for a session, and I can hear with the overtones in the bowls, where energy might be stuck, or even dissipate completely from their body, or from their aura, I guess. And so using the sounds to tune up the body, just like a piano.
It's fascinating, and one of the things that resonates with me is the fact that we are energy. And anyone who's studied science knows this, that the body is energy. The body is nothing but vibration.
Right.
And so, yeah, I'd love to ask questions about that in terms of what sound actually does. But anyone who's in the situation we were describing before, in terms of if you're making decisions from safety, if you even think about doing something different and it brings up that fear, or there is that the hesitation, and you know that your heart's guiding you something, you don't do it, that's energetics. That's an energetic it's an energetic block that's stopping you moving forward. And so what you're saying here is the sound can be a method in opening up what needs to be seen, healing what needs to be healed. And obviously there's going to be some form of purging or welcoming in some sort of, deeper truth, or like what you experienced in the first time with yoga, there was just a depth that you're able to go. And it allows you to just tap into more and more of your energetics so that you can make the decisions you need to make. So is there anything you want to talk to there, or is there anything you want to talk to in the form of how does sound allow us to tune up and start to resonate at a vibration that's closer to who and what we are?
Right. So the first thing that comes to mind is how our bodies are, each of our bodies has their own personal musical scale. So each of us resonate at a different vibration, and there is a scale that we can use to heal our own bodies. And I have a way to find out what each person, if a client comes, we can find out what their scale is. And then the first time I had done this myself, and I found my scale, and working with each of the 7 energy centers, the 7 chakra, and healing each energy center as I'm working with that tone. So humming, so we can all hum, right? And so humming on that tone, so if you know how to do that, or what your tone is, then you're able to heal your body. And I'm talking about physically or emotionally, mentally, spiritually, for each of the chakra. And so as I was working with each of these tones for myself, there was a lot of that purging would come up. Lots of things would come up. I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know this was there, and it was just like sitting in feel to heal meditations, right? So sitting in meditation, and things start to come up. And then on top of that, using the sound to entrain the body, entrain the energies, the vibrations of each chakra. It just magnifies, just amplifies that healing. Pretty amazing.
Yeah, now it's interesting that everyone has their own unique signature of just throughout their own chakras. So the 7 energy centers, and each person is different. So to be able to find that personal music scale means they now have that as a tool set within their own healing, within their own spiritual and personal growth that they can use. Now, how would someone use that? If once they know their unique scale, can they use that throughout meditations? Can they use it in any particular situation? How would you recommend someone use that moving forward?
Yeah, you can use that, of course, in meditations. If there's, you want to focus on something in particular, a decision or something like that, then you can use it in that way. But you can use it even just like, had a client come that had some pain in the jaw. And so we've used her scale, found her scale, and then the tone that she resonated with that for the throat chakra. And then, her homework is to hum on that tone and to use that vibration to release that energy that's been stuck in that area of the body. And interestingly, so because we have, the third eye, the throat, and the heart. So, and then there's this area in between each of the energy centers as well. So you can use the tone, you can bend the tones up and down to heal other areas. So, like if you have shoulder pain, or if you have aches in different areas, you can use that tone and just humming on that tone for, say, 15 minutes a day to help release any physical aches that you might have.
That's cool. That's cool. How do I sign up? That's my question. My question, because I've been working on my singing, is what if someone's tone deaf? Have you had anyone come? Have you had anyone come that's tone deaf, or if they have difficulty matching a pitch when it comes to singing? Is it something that they just practice and they can start to learn, or is it something they can enjoy by just being in the environment of that tone? What are your recommendations there?
Oh, that's I haven't had anybody in that situation yet. However, you can still get the benefits just by listening. If you feel, honestly, anybody that says that they're tone deaf, that's just a learned behavior. It's like everybody can eventually learn how to sing on tune. So that, I mean, it's a belief. So getting over that block might be the first step there, and someone can definitely learn how to sing their tone. But if they're still, if they're in that period where they're feeling uncomfortable or don't feel like they're actually singing it on pitch, then just listening to the tones, putting it in the earbuds, and envisioning the intention is just as important as the tone itself. So the intention of moving or using the energy and the vibrations of that tone to go to to a certain chakra or a certain area in the body. So having that intention behind the healing is also super important.
That's cool. So if someone wants to learn how to do that and they want to contact you, what does that look like? What is it in particular they can contact you for? Where do they do that? And what do the next steps look like?
Yeah, so I have a scheduler. They can sign up for an appointment with me. I can do everything online. And that's the other amazing thing about sound and sound healing. It's energy work. So just like Reiki or the other energy healing energy work, you can do it. It doesn't have to be in person. And that's the amazing thing about sound healing as well. And a lot of people feel like you have to be right in the room. You don't. You can use your earbuds. Using earbuds is key. Some people put their hands on their computer so that they can feel the vibrations coming through with the sounds as well. So that's kind of cool. So yeah, it's just people, you can sign up and we'll pop on Zoom call and have a session. Yeah.
Beautiful. And I know you feel called to help people who are in a 9-to-5 who may feel like they're calling to something else and they're sort of struggling to make that leap. They're struggling to make that decision that you made in following your heart. So what sort of, do you have any advice or tips or guidance for someone who is in that situation and who, they feel like, man, it's just hard to overcome that fear. It's hard to be detached from the money and the physical safety of a job. What is it in particular that you have as advice or guidance for someone who really wants to overcome that fear?
Yeah, I think first sign up for my program. I have a great program using the humming that I just spoke about, and using the personal scale to heal those the trauma, the energy that might be built up or stuck in the body. So I think that, I guess, not to rush the decisions, not rush into something. It would probably be my first advice as far as like moving through, is just letting and allowing it all to happen as you're healing and learning how to listen, tune into the universe and letting your body heal while you're moving towards that heart calling, your heart's calling.
Nothing more important. There's nothing more important than, I don't believe, than really following your intuition and going on the path you're here to go on, right? And we have to listen to the intuition because it's not going away. It's not going away. You know, we can do as many things as we can to avoid it and distract ourselves and resist it. But trust me, you're here to learn certain lessons. You're here to have certain experiences. And whether it's through your decisions or whether it's through just the general chaos of life where things tend to fall down, like what you said, it wasn't necessarily your choice to have that sort of career fall apart, but it's what you did with that. Life presented you with the opportunity and you could have ran back to safety and sort of said, holy shit, that was scary. But you lead yourself into the unknown and you say, hey, I'm expanding and I'm growing and I'm learning. And as I start to make these decisions, I'm going on my soul's journey. And so that's really where you find yourself at the level you are now and feeling more deeply fulfilled within yourself. So people can contact you to help them understand more of their personal scale so they can use that as a tool and obviously find out more about your program, especially if they're in that situation, if they're in the situation of comfort, familiarity, and they know they're being called to more, they just can't overcome those fears. You help them use these modalities in their life to overcome the fear. What else can someone expect if they're reaching out to you and they want some help? Is there anything else that you have there that can assist them?
Yeah, I'm also within the program. I am offering some intuitive coaching along with that. So it's not only just learning how to use the sounds, and but I'm also doing coaching and also offering a course and along with some yoga as well, using the physical body to release energy and to move energy to help it move, as you're also doing the sound healing. So we have lots of things lined up that people can use to start healing and start moving along and jumping on onto their path for healing and following their heart's calling, their soul's calling.
Beautiful. So I'll put all the links below to your calendar. Where can they reach out to find out more about you? Can they jump on your social medias, website? What else can they go to other than the calendar link?
Yeah, absolutely. I have Facebook with my name, Molly Adkins, and then I also have a Instagram, Molly's Sound Wellness. And I have a website that is in creation. It's www.mollyadkins.com, which will be up and running soon. And email address, of course, mollyradkins@gmail.com. So any of those would work.
Easy. Whatever you prefer, you got plenty of options there.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to tap into, share? Anything that's on your heart while you have the mic here that you think listeners of this podcast should know or should remember when they're sort of going on this soul's journey? Anything else come up for you that would make this chat feel complete?
Yeah, I think one of the things that I was worried about or feared in making all of these decisions is kind of that fear of being alone and, moving across the country to a location where I don't know anybody. And that was a big one for me. And I just feel like that could be something that holds people back from making those decisions, moving away from my kids. They're adults, but still moving away. But just the importance of being a role model, and to especially now, I think that a lot of kids, the younger kid in their 20s are really lost and having a hard time moving forward and not knowing what to do. But by showing by example that we can make these changes in our lives and find joy and find fulfillment without following that path that society tells us that we need to be on. I think that's something that I'd like to share. It's just learning, as we make as adults, making our decisions and being role models for the younger generations to move forward in the same style, same type of path, following our hearts.
Yeah, while you're following your heart, the real things that are happening are generally beyond what your mind can see. You don't know the ripple effect that's happening. You don't know the example you're being for someone that's never going to reach out to you and say, hey, help me do this, right? I know you were very surprised once you started sharing your journey on Facebook, the amount of people that said, hey, this is inspiring and you've inspired me to do this or make this decision, or even just through the observation. But we really have no clue when we're in our heart and we're living a life that's more loving, that offers more growth and more levels of contribution. It really doesn't come to our conscious awareness a lot, the ripple effect and the standard that we're setting and just the energy that we put out into the world. But just reminding yourself of that, hey, sometimes the biggest effect that I'm creating right now, I have no clue about, but all I know is that it feels right for me and it feels exciting. And those I do help that I know I'm helping is really cool, but also the effect can be a lot bigger than what my mind can see. And so that to me is what's exciting, but it's good that you're getting that confirmation from people as well that says, hey, you're being a role model as you move forward and take these and make these decisions. I know that was a bit of a surprise to you and a bit of like a holy shit kind of moment.
Yes.
But it's awesome to see, hey?
Yes, absolutely. I was definitely surprised once that first person that contacted me, they're like, I think we need to talk. I was
Yeah.
like, I'm in that same kind of situation. I think I need to talk to you. And I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah. quite a surprise.
Yeah. Well, you're stepping in, you're really quickly becoming that expert and, and that thought leader of someone who's, like I said earlier, actually living it. That's what matters to me is you're living it, you're making these decisions, you're learning as you go, and you're helping people along the way. You're helping people, you're expanding your steps, and then you're looking back and say, hey, who needs help with these quick steps? Who needs help? And help me show you what I did to make that happen. So that to me is, if more people do that, we'll definitely be living in the world that is that's quickly evolving and expanding in the way that it's meant to. So Molly, thanks for being here. Thanks for sharing everything that's the heart's guiding you towards. Is there anything else you want to share before we wrap this up?
I think I've shared it all. Thank you, Tyson.
My pleasure. So everyone, reach out to Molly. You will not regret it. There's plenty of wisdom there, and there's plenty of tools that you can chuck on your tool belt on your expansion. But if it is exciting for you, and if you're down this journey, definitely reach out to Molly, and I'll put the links below. So Molly, thanks for being here. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much.